A goal, Quishbilly, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Quishbilly's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
And Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hi everybody, welcome to the Andy Take Its Chance podcast in association with Magic Rock Brewing, who are our sponsors this fine podcast today. Joining me, we've got Mr. Cowshed himself with a Cowshed t-shirt. We've got Pause.
Evening, mate, all right?
Not trying to be outdone on the t-shirt front. Andy Kaye. Andy, you lift it up, mate. We can only see the two. What does it say?
Hey, there it is.
There we go.
The legend that it is. Even my missus has gone, who's that on your t-shirt?
Si, no t-shirt, mate.
Didn't get the memo.
Glasses, mate. We've not seen it before. Going for the intellectual look, mate. If you're watching on YouTube,
I need all the help I can get, Kosi.
Yeah. So before we start the podcast, we'd like to dedicate this podcast today to Mick Henry. Real sad news coming out yesterday. Mick passed away before the game, and the guys, Huddersfield Town did him proud yesterday and that as well. Gone too young. Most people will kind of know him through Twitter as well, putting, right to the end, really positive, real charismatic guy and that as well. And he'll be sorely missed, and we're sending his love to his family and friends. Rest in peace, Mick. And also, we're sending our love to Ian Kilroy, another big Town fan as well. Real sad situation at the moment with Ian, and we're sending love to Ian and his family. And again, we hope in some small way yesterday's result will, help you at the moment. So yeah, all the best. On to the game, Andy. Let's not beat around the bush. Was that our best result of the season yesterday, mate?
Oh, absolutely! It's an incredible result. When I saw that particularly that Leeds had dropped out through illness when the teams were announced, I thought, oh my God, we'll do absolutely brilliant to get a point out of these. All the ex-Premier League players they got. Carlan Grant guaranteed to score, when he returns to the John Smiths. But yeah, the great stuff. Like we said earlier, I never felt at any stage, oh my God, they're going to score it. They just seem to have lots of possession, but great determination. It wasn't a classic game. We got taking a throw in down to a fine art. How long could it take to take a throw in? Every time the ball went out, it was just an absolute masterclass in taking ages to take throw ins. But they got what they deserved, and the back three were absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, the chuffed to bits walking on there when me and my lad were just like that was great. So it's when you get those unexpected results like that, it was brilliant. So really, really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Immense. Pause. Me and you were in close proximity yesterday. I must admit, I don't think I've slept as well, and that's nothing to do with the drink I was consuming. But mate, we'll come on to everything later on. But the atmosphere, the stadium, it just felt Wagner-esque, mate, to me. And I think we've just got to give massive credit to obviously the team for doing the business. But for the first time in a long time, I felt everybody were on the same page yesterday, mate. And it was a famous win, and we needed them. I think Mark Devlin put a tweet on last night, which I kind of, agreed with his sentiment that the team needed the fans to get them over the line. It was a famous win, mate, wasn't it? And it was a brilliant afternoon to be able to see Town yesterday. Pause.
Yeah. Sorry, fantastic, mate. I thought you were going to add something else, mate. I thought you were going to add something else. No, it was a really great performance, and it were everything that you want as a football fan, wasn't it, from your team? That it were, the determination were there, the passion, the togetherness, the will to win. A little bit of shithousing, as Andy's already sort of alluded to there, with a bit of time wasting towards the end, and Yeah, I agree with Andy. At one point, there was no real point where I thought, they're definitely going to score. They weren't sort of knocking on the door. They weren't peppering the goal. I can't remember Nichols making a proper save, if you know what I mean. He came and caught a few and punched a few, and we had a couple of scrambles to defend. But no, apart from that, and I think the confidence within the fan base certainly grew second half. As you said, the atmosphere were tremendous. Really, second half it felt like a real togetherness. There's no sort of superstars in that team at the moment, and everybody rows in the same direction. And another clean sheet, which is magnificent. I think that someone will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's 9 in 15 now that we've had, which is phenomenal. 4 in a row home, yeah. You can't. We've talked about us sort of striking prowess and options up front and stuff, but when you're not conceding, that concern disappears, because as yesterday proved, you only need that one chance and you win 1-0. So yeah, long may it continue.
Bloody hell, what a division, mate. I watched an incredible game at Gateway Day. I think some division, Derby 3, Bournemouth 2. Derby are on -100, I think, aren't they? Relegated. Bournemouth swaggering. I don't think Bournemouth have lost it away or even conceded any goals, I think, until today. And this division, mate, he's just making us all look mugs. And my employers are loving it, mate, because people are losing their money regularly betting on this division. What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's difficult to predict, isn't it? I think the majority of us on this podcast said we were kind of strong candidates for relegation at the start of the season. Well, what do we know? How that's come back to bite us. And we're now kind of talking, can we hold out and finish in the top 6? I think obviously the top 2, Bournemouth and Fulham, will be up there. But the rest, you can just throw a blanket over them all. And on the day, anyone could be anyone. And to some extent, that's what's quite unique, and I what we probably all really like about the Championship. There's obviously not been as much money flying around as what there has been in previous years. And actually, when you look at it on paper, we've carved out a really good squad now, and more of a squad than a team which we had last year. There's obviously some strength in depth now, which we're seeing. And yeah, kind of looking upwards as opposed to looking downwards. I think just reflecting on kind of yesterday's game, I think the one thing I would add is I thought the discipline, particularly out of possession, which obviously we didn't have much of, was really good. Everyone understood where they needed to be, kind of the way we shuffled from side to side. Kind of there was no weak links whatsoever. And I think you've got to take your hats off to the coaching team in that regard. Think back to last season, we were kind of leaking goals for fun. And that's Naby, who I'm sure we'll go on to discuss, who was kind of the comedy figure at points, wasn't he, last season? Kind of looks a completely different defender. The coaching team have already got to take their credit for that.
Unbelievable. So I'm going to give you some stats. Matt will be proud of me. These are official as well.
The research here, Kosi.
Mate, I have. So West Brom's last win in Huddersfield, November 2000. So we've got it's really weird with Huddersfield Town. We've got some great records against some teams and appalling. The other, we don't seem to have kind of hit and miss, but I was thinking that coming in, West Brom don't seem to win at Huddersfield. And yeah, 2000, November 2000, 2-0, Gary Megson. I think I might have been there. I think Lee Hughes might have got one and doing all that, carry on and that. But yeah, a lot of goal. Possession-wise, 32% in the first half and 35.6 overall in the match. West Brom had 20 shots on goal, but there's only 2 on target. We had 6, obviously 2 on target as well. They had nearly double our passes. My maths isn't that good, but 518 passes, 284 for them. But then I want to come to kind of a first topic with an amazing back three. So Levi Colwell had the most good passes and crosses, and he had most possession gained in the game. Matty Pearson, 4 blocks, 10 clearances, which were the most in the team. He won 77.8% of his duels, which was second, because Naby won all of his 83% of his duels. He lost possession 8 times, which was the lowest in the team from the starting 11 and that as well, and made 7 clearances. So it speaks for itself, really. And the one thing I was interested with Naby, he looked like a man on a mission yesterday to come in. And, we've been, a lot of people saying Mike Cromer and this, that and the other. And, depending on who you speak to, there's various reasons for that. But this man coming, and it's not easy because Naby, I don't know whether it's playing in front of fans or what have you, but he just got him. You know what's going to happen at QPR now, don't you, on Wednesday night? But mate, it was incredible, wasn't it? Let's start with Naby first, Andy. What do you just feel is a different kind of player? Is he playing with different players this time, or do you think because he's not getting in, he's thinking like a few, shit, I've got to take my chance because if I don't, I'm going to be back, on the bench. So
well, you never know what you're going to get. You're going to get, me and my lad talk about, you get Champions League Naby Sarr or Sunday League Naby Sarr. And yesterday we had Champions League Naby Sarr, timing his clearances, timing his challenges. Although my lads just showed me a bit of footage of him shoving somebody over in the box that they could have had a penalty for, which I'd forgotten about. But yeah, it just seems to. It just all worked for him yesterday. But like you say, he's just as likely, I think, to have a game where he oofs one up in the air or plays a short back pass or something. I guess you've got to. He's got so many physical advantages as a defender with that height and he's just his presence that he's going to make the odd ricket. But yeah, I thought they were all fantastic yesterday. Pearson in particular, I've got a lot of time for him. I can't remember who it was first half down by the corner flag. He nearly kicked the lad into killing the bank stand, claiming the ball back, and lad sort of hobbled away. And I thought, you won't be back for much after that, pal. And whoever it was, he didn't get anywhere near him again. But yeah, just all three of them. But Sarr was absolutely outstanding. I think it would have been a shame. It would have been nice if he could have got a goal. If we could have got a corner onto his edge. But absolutely, the place would have gone absolutely mental if he'd have scored. But yeah, we're really pleased.
Second half, when we had a corner, I was like thinking that just would be the creme. He could have just walked out of the stadium, done a mix up, and that would be the also, the scenes at the end were so special. I mean, that video that I retweeted, I think it's still going and going and going. But it was really fun, wasn't it? How they kind of Ease Electric had changed, long gone Carl and Grant and all about Naby Sarr. But it's, you know what, the big beaming smile at the end, that little dance. It was a special moment, mate, wasn't it? And from someone like when we watched an iFollow last year with the COVID and that as well, I just thought, okay, obviously there were quite a few calamities. When that song, it does things we never expected. I think it probably fits him more than
perfect for him. Yeah.
Didn't even know what he was doing himself.
Mate, wasn't it a special moment at the end last night when he would come around the pitch and you could tell he would just so much loved it. I felt quite emotional, mate, seeing all that. He was mad.
Yeah, it seems like one of them players, doesn't it, that with fans on his side, he'll thrive off that. And I think as well, probably people like Lees coming in and Pearson coming in have probably given him a lot in training as well. Playing alongside guys like that, they'll have brought him on. He were always a good player, Sarr, but as Andy's already said, there were always that slight doubt in the back of your mind that there's going to be something a little bit crazy happen, and there'll still be that going on. And sometimes those sort of players you've just got to like, haven't you? Because you don't know what you're going to get. But yeah, once fans get on it, get behind him, I think he's certainly one of them players that seems a bit of a character, and as you say, we're sort of dancing around when he end at match and stuff like that. So he were obviously loving it, and being outside and really fazed him.
I'll ask you a question if you don't mind, chaps, which is obviously Wednesday night, assuming Tom Lees has got a clean bill of health. What would you do? Would you bring Lees back in, who's been really good up until this point, really good this season? Or would you kind of keep Naby Sarr aside? What would you do?
Andy?
4 centre halves. Just play 4 centre halves. You can't drop him now, can you?
Naby's going up front, mate, after one.
Yeah, fair dues. Do you know what? I think Coburn will drop him. I think he'll bring Lees back in. You can't drop Colwell because I think the guy is absolutely next level of class. Absolutely amazing player. Pearson, bit of a hero of mine because he just doesn't take it. Nothing ever changes on his face. He's like, I'm going to kill you.
And he's got black boots on. I saw a tweet today.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He wears black boots as well. Old school black boots, like what I used to wear back in the day. Everyone and get Sunday Alliance Division 4 or whatever I played in.
You know what, Andy? Just for putting in there, but someone put a good tweet out. They felt it feels like a kind of Kevin Gray kind of character.
Yeah.
No frills. The crowd really want
That's a great description of it. Yeah, that's a great description of it.
I don't think we've had anyone in that ilk really for some time, because I think kind of in the Wagner promotion season it was kind of different than that as well. This is honestly, I'm really wanting the guy. I loved him at the end. He's strutting around the pitch and fist bump and when we kind of signed him, I remember the Luton fans were like, they were proper sad to lose him, which were always a good sign, weren't they, and that as well. But they work so well together, don't they? As obviously chucking Lee's back in, but the back 3-4, whatever you want to call it, it's real compared when you think what we had last year, mate. When we had Stearman and we had, I don't even mention his name, but Blackpool. Oh God, it's gone off on a tangent already. But Colwell, Pozza, bloody hell, mate! What a player he looks, and that as well. He just looks next level already, man, and that as well, doesn't he? And I mean, you can't get any better what he did first away games with last minute, 93rd minute win at Bramall Lane. But he's so calm on the ball and that as well. He looks like he's loving every minute of being like playing, men's football really, rather than academy. What a signing, mate!
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think he'll be one of those that in 2 or 3 years we'll be getting the old made in Huddersfield, Emile Smith Rowe treatment from our fans, and we'll be lauding him, or certain people will be lauding him up on Twitter. But yeah, I think like you say, is a class above already, and you don't get in at Chelsea at that at this age if you're not. He'd gone away and played international football, and I think he scored, didn't he, as well overnight? So that obviously came back with a load of confidence. And the thing I like about Cole is he's different to your Pearson and your Lees, so them two are old school, and he's a little bit more flamboyant. So you can actually get it down and start to play out front back when he's there, which is nice. Sort of works well with Toffolo on that left hand side, and sometimes he'll crop up on left wing. Sometimes I look up and I think, right, centre half up here, but why not? If he's got the confidence, he can get the ball down. He can. He's not short of taking someone on and putting a decent ball in himself. So, yeah, like you say, the stats that you just read out earlier, because certainly for him and the back three, we're solid. We see him solid, and that were a big concern. And I think one of the main unsung heroes in that thing as well is keeper.
Yeah, we don't mention him, do we? I keep saying this. I've never mentioned him. Why? He's unbelievable.
Since he's come in, he's just reassuring. He's just calm. And to play with as a defender with a keeper behind you like that, it just gives you so much confidence. So there's that back unit now is it's probably one of the best. On paper you wouldn't have them down as one of the best in the league, but I bet if you look at stats, I bet they're one of the best performing defensive units that are in Championship at the moment. So fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
You've really got to take your hats off to the recruitment team, because we've sat on this podcast many a time before, and no doubt we'll do again around kind of some of the crap that money's been spent on it, if we're being honest with ourselves. But Pearson, Lees, Nichols were certainly three players none of us felt really inspired by, were we, kind of in the summer window. None of us who felt necessarily movers up the table or progressors, but as a collective, been all great additions. And Cole, obviously, you probably had slightly higher expectations for, albeit an unknown quantity, but it's really been the kind of icing on the cake, I would say, in terms of the kind of quality that he's shown.
And we consider it's just incredible, mate. We've got the same manager, all right. We consider the most goals in the division to go in like 4 games without conceding a goal at home and stuff. And is it just simple that we've got better players, or do you have to give Carlos a lot of credit for? Have you noticed any kind of different adjustments? Really, I don't know. Maybe giving it simple and stuff. Maybe than when he won last year. Well, it's amazing.
I'm not sure. I think it's a change of personnel. I think I saw something on Twitter today. Somebody put about Nichols was Milton Keynes' reserve keeper. So how good was their first choice keeper be? Because this guy's absolutely spot on for what we need. Calm, reassuring, decent distribution yesterday, I thought. I'm not too much of a tactician, so I don't know about that. I just think we just look more solid, that players exactly know what they're supposed to be doing, and they do it. I don't think we're committing. I don't remember Toffolo getting as far forwards this season as he appeared to do last season, and obviously we haven't got Pieper down the right hand side doing the same sort of thing. So maybe we're a little bit more solid at the back because our full-backs aren't bombing on as much as they did last year. Maybe that's a little bit to do with it. I don't know. It's just off the top of my head now, but I just think that they know their roles, they know what's expected of them, they're comfortable in the system. So let's keep doing it. I like the 3-4-3. It seems to work really well. So, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I think we'll have some dodgy games. I think, that was a big spike in performance yesterday, beating West Brom. I don't think we're a top 6 team. You never know. We didn't think we were top 6. Well, no, I don't think we are.
Thanks for coming, Andy. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
I don't think we are, because we all thought we were going to be, we were relegation candidates, weren't we? So, based on, the big turnover of players, which is what we needed. But there was nothing I saw at the beginning of the season. That game at Derby, the first game of the season, and I said at the time, both of these teams will do nothing. this season. So for us to be where we are is brilliant.
It's interesting you say that though, Andy, about we're not a top 6 team, because I think from every podcast from now looking backwards, if you go through them, we've all said we're not a top 6 team pretty much every single week, and yet we're still there.
Yeah.
So it's really strange, because I've always been waiting for that drop off a cliff moment, and I thought after Cardiff and Peterborough, I thought that was the moment, and then you look at the injuries yesterday. No, but we should have won. We didn't. So you're thinking, then your injuries have kicked in, and you're starting to think, this is what happened last season. But yesterday, for me, that kind of changed my mindset a little bit. And actually, now I'm starting to not fully believe, but I'm a little bit closer. We're maybe not still a top 6, but now I'm like, well, we're probably top 12 now. Do you know what I mean? So if we're still kicking in and around, it'd be really interesting. With obviously the rumours that are going on with regards to ownership of the club, and if we get through to January, and there was a meeting with Mark Devlin with the ATT panel, and he said some interesting things on there about January, and if we're there or thereabouts, you never know. We've said it a lot that maybe top 2 are nailed on, but then it's sort of 4 from maybe 10 or 12, and it'll only take a team to gamble in January and bring in a couple of decent players, and all of a sudden they've got a real chance. And at the moment, there's no reason why that can't be Huddersfield Town. Yeah,
I've honestly just thought of this. I've not rehearsed it, honestly, but we've had a Naby sandwich, a bit of Oasis. It's electric. Now I'm going Oasis again here. Where were you when we were getting high? Let's talk about Scott Hyde, because what a through ball to set up, to start the move for the goal yesterday. And Matt, on our group, he made a good point that if that had been Smith Rowe or someone of that ilk alone, we'd have been absolutely raving about it. But I think homegrown players almost have to work twice as hard to get some notice. I mean, Scott had his big chance yesterday. Thought he did ever so well, as Neil Warnock says, ever so well. And Andy, Scott Hyde, what were your thoughts, mate? I must admit, we holding midfielders. I liked what he did yesterday, mate. It looked good.
I was a bit grumpy about the 2 central midfielders yesterday, particularly first half. Apart from that pass, and I hadn't really seen that it was Scott Hyde that had made the pass, so maybe I was a bit grumpy about it without reason. But I thought they got better second half. But like you said, the homegrown lads are the ones that we really want to do well. I think when Oggy's fit, Oggy comes straight back in automatically for me. But it's a good pass. It's a great cross by Danny Ward, and St. Arnis in the right place, isn't he? As he should be.
Great goal, isn't it? It's smart.
Yeah, it is a really, really good goal.
Described it on Sky Sports Football as a computer goal today. He kept saying it twice. Yeah. I kind of get what he means, but Football Manager, if anyone's that on ZX Spectrum, you didn't even have to move, did you, little dot? But how's that? Our goal would have good one, mate. I mean, obviously we didn't have the best view where we are, but having seen it back, it would have moved from a team playing with a lot of confidence, mate, especially at home.
Great little run from Ward as well. If you watch it back and watch where Ward starts, he sort of just gets wrong side of their centre half. I don't know if he knows that their right back's 5 yards behind everybody else, but he just sort of makes that little curve running behind their centre back, and it's a great little ball across. It made me laugh. You see 4 or 5 West Bromwich Albion players lambast the linesman for not giving offside. But actually, when they watched it back, they'll probably be a little bit embarrassed because their fullback's gone in with Sinani and played him onside by miles. But nice little ball across, and we were a little bit like a FIFA goal. As the kids will listen and will know.
Yeah, but there was a lot of pressure when them changed ends. I couldn't stop laughing inside. Like at 1 minute to 3, I'm thinking, oh my God, if this goes wrong here, I'm going to get absolutely destroyed. And
I looked at you and that straight away. As soon as we turned round, I'm thinking, right, because I
said to us, it says if Ward had been aiming towards empty ended to put that sitter in the second half. We played towards South Stand, we win. But Si, let's bring Tim Robinson. Made me laugh, Andy. You'll remember him being a great cricket, but I think this is a different Tim Robinson, the referee.
Tim Robinson,
I suppose first thing, Si, I didn't feel it with a sending off at the time for the guy. I mean, 78 minutes gone, but it would have been high with his boot. But God, if that's one of our players getting a red, I'm spewing. I can see why Ismail were kicking off about that. No sending off for me, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if his reputation's preceded him a little bit. Livermore this is with that one. So he's obviously just come back from 5 bookings, and I think he's perhaps developed a reputation as someone who's prepared to put the tackle in. I think it's one of them for me, kind of 5, 10, 15 years ago, it's definitely not a red card, but as kind of football's evolved, and it probably does just touch on endangering an opponent, and in that context, then I can see why it's given. You're right to say that Kosi it's given against you, sort of kind of view where, you kind of a bit disgruntled about, really. I kind of thought kind of at that point then, once they went down to 10 men, kind of that was not the game over, but I'd hoped we'd have just seen the game out a bit more comfortably from that point. But obviously, it still felt quite frantic, didn't it?
I actually hoping he didn't send him off, because I thought if we go down to 10 here, these writings on wall, isn't it? Usually when we go down, opposition go down to 10, we get worse. So I'm thinking, keep him on.
And that's obviously kind of probably the one major talking point in the game from a referee's point of view. But I thought the referee was good yesterday. Actually, kind of typically let the game flow. There was probably a couple of challenges for both teams that you kind of thought could have been pulled up. But quite refreshing, actually, because the game is seemingly moving to more and more kind of foul for this, foul for that. But actually, I thought they had quite a good game yesterday.
It was great for the ref. And Andy, it was interesting. I saw someone put a message out, and I think Livermore, maybe it'd have been yellow, but he walked away from it. We're a bit arrogant, and it's almost like the ref, like, well, bollocks to that. But you know what you said?
Has he kicked him in the head? Yes or no?
If you haven't got on TV, you can't really see, can you? It's kind of facing the touchline, and obviously the camera's on, kind of killing the bank.
You know what? Anyone else would be like getting, like Real Madrid today, they were playing against 10 men all of a sudden, like last 20 minutes, was get like 2 extra goals. But I just knew, someone said to me, like what you paused, that's the worst thing that could have happened here.
Yeah.
It's much, because it was still yellow shirts bombing forward, really, wasn't it? That as well. But yeah, Andy, let a lot go. I mean, I must admit, I've seen that Naby Sarr. We had obviously good view because we were facing on. We seen Naby Sarr kind of shielding the guy out, but what a teeny bit of a shove. You just wonder if that's a Premier League game that kind of goes to VAR and he goes.
Yeah, I think that's given. If we got VAR, that would be given, but it wasn't. It was sort of helped him on his way as he's heading towards the dead ball line. I think going back to the sending off, I think Fraser Campbell's got an absolute masterclass of oh my God, I've got a massive hole in my head when I'm rolling around on the floor.
Done him. Yeah.
He's, and
that's
You're a bit man, didn't he, Fraser Campbell?
No, last season. I'm sober Thomas this season.
Oh, yeah, all right.
I've jumped bandwagons this season.
Also, let's go back to the atmosphere again. I mean, I think like when I kind of think of some of our best days in the stadium, it's almost like what you said there kind of as well, Andy, where we're not expecting probably much. Like a lot of people looked at that, text at 2:00. Oh my God, with 3 minutes, please as well, because I was as bad. I was struggling and here and that as well, and we did get it. But I think second half it was so good, and what were noticeable, all the stands were joining in and that as well. It was such a team effort really, and that as well. And there was a nice tweet, wasn't there, last night that Neil kind of put on from a West Brom fan saying it was easily the best atmosphere they've heard, like from an opposition fans. And somebody, a town fan, kind of said, "Oh yeah, it's because we've got an early goal." But the guy replied straight away, says, "We've been to places when we've got an early goal at the Hawthorns this year, and we don't have anything like that." So I think there's a lot of pride for that kind of support.
Last few games have been a bit like that. I think Millwall, Blackburn, Hull, quite tense games. And, people say, the old thing, you only sing when you're winning. But when it's 3-0, it can be a worse atmosphere than when it's 1-0, because you need to, it keeps you going as a fan, and it keeps the team going as well. And as I say, yesterday, he spread from South Stand really well. Killing the Bank were getting involved. And, left-hand side in Lawrence Battley Stand, I have no idea what it's called now, but, dug outside, they were getting involved as well. And it just comes back to that togetherness, doesn't it? Like all in it together. And I think it showed again at the end, players like full lap, everybody, shirts were being given out to kids in crowd and all that sort of stuff. And it's just nice to see, innit? You just feel like we've got a good bunch now. Over the last couple of years, we've had bad eggs in there. We've had these, definitely inverted commas superstar players. We don't seem to have that anymore. And yesterday there were scrambles, but bodies are flying on. I think if you watch highlights, there's an absolutely incredible block. I think it's
Yes.
by Pearson. He just sort of lays down like a salmon on the floor, and he just whacks him in chest, and then he got one in nuts about 5 minutes later, and it just felt like die for the cause. And as a fan, you appreciate that. If teams play like that and they leave everything on the pitch, and you lose 1-0, you come away saying, you know what, we've given it all today. As a fan, you can't ask much more than that. And obviously to get the win makes it even better. But if anybody's listening at the club, just keep going with that sort of attitude, because that is what you go to football for that entertainment, for that. You come away thinking, do you know what, that was a good couple of hours, that, because I've enjoyed it.
We've got some tweets, we've got plenty of happy campers and that as well. I sometimes wonder when we win, it's like the people are willing to, but I just says, let's have the love. Come on, everyone. And they've all given it. So Craig Allroyd, feel free to put in, guys, if you want to answer this. Very good 3 points built off a solid defensive display. Can't imagine saying that in the past few seasons. Time to give Sorba a rest, recharge, and try Karoma. Looked heavy-legged currently. He's very loyal, isn't he, Carlos? Because I felt last 2-3 games, it's time for a rest for Sorba. And he's, especially Aaron's, I saw him play well in that B, but it just seems to be Thomas will always get the start. It's a bit weird. Maybe these, another couple of midweek game, it's 3 games in a week, maybe he'll change that. But
sorry, that's Sober Thomas, sponsored by AKLD Training, boys. So for that reason only, he needs to play, just so I get my little bit of hey, me and my little lad, hey, every time he gets one out. But if we're not using the business, yeah, he needs a rest. He needs a rest for me, and Karoma needs to come in.
He's my little boy's favourite player as well, Andy. So you're in good company there. He's like, I need to get his shirt, Daddy. I want to get his shirt. Can you get me his shirt?
Cam Fry, a lot of passion and effort. Love to see when players like Pearson push each other to the limit and stay focused, especially after the red card. You do notice that. His leadership is fantastic. Pearson, honestly, it's nice having an old school centre back and that as well, isn't it? Because we've got sexy Colwell defending, but mate, old school Puma match boots. Come on. Yeah. Again, Huddersfield 1-0 up early doors and held out for the win against a good side. We don't very often do it. Clark East were great 3 points based on 11 players putting in a massive shift. Even those who were below par still ran and ran. I totally agree. And Danny Ward's someone, it was really interesting, like, because obviously they had that miss and maybe because we were winning, I don't know, but I'll give the crowd the benefit of doubt, but he got an absolutely fantastic evasion. I sent through his, not his heat map, God, I'll get a bit too technical, his position map to you, paused, didn't I? And
his heat map, the old heat map.
No, not the heat map, but the other one. What's it called? With all the dots scattered about. Well, basically, it shows
touches, yeah.
Showed him where he'd been on 90 minutes and that as well. And it just shows, God, he were everywhere. I think he was serving hot dogs at half time. At Road Walk, but it was shut, so it shut down. So you can't. I'm really warming him, Andy. We just kind of talked about before we came on air, but I know he's took a while to win the crowd over, but I suppose when you look back on it now, it's just probably because he's never played, he's never fit. I think that's the frustration now, where rather than his pants, because he's never going to be prolific. But I can't knock someone who gives everything for the shirt, even though maybe a striker's job is to score that goal.
Score the goals, yeah.
Really interesting when just jumping in. Really interesting when someone like John Rhodes come back, because how will that work? Because you lose that mobility with him, but you gain that prowess in box, don't you? And it'd be really interesting to see what Carlos what comes up with there. I'm quite looking forward to that, to see what happens.
I guess the biggest compliment I'd give him is we kind of signed Nepo on loan from West Ham, obviously when Rose was injured, probably with an eye on kind of taking that spot, and he's not been able to force his way into the team now. How much that is a result of Danny Ward, how much that is kind of ineffectiveness of Nepo, kind of reality is probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But I think he's been good, Ward, kind of to your point, because he kind of last season it was just a write-off, wasn't he? And I think everyone was sat there questioning why we're giving this bloke a 3-year deal, kind of what a waste of money. And then here we are now kind of thinking, you know what, he's working bloody hard for a shirt, kind of very good defensively, kind of corners, etc., etc. You almost kind of want him just to kind of get a couple more goals, don't you, to kind of keep his place in the team.
Huddersfield publics are no mugs. They won't be fooled by people. And I loved it yesterday, that the fact there was a standing ovation for him and his name would be chanted. And it was brilliant, because it could have easily gone the other way, because it was just seconds after, wasn't it? Like heading his hands, it must have been cutting for him, because you'd want to think ends and then you're off, mate, and that as well. But I'll finish Clark's tweet, because it's absolutely brilliant. I totally agree with it. He says, put in a massive shift, even though those were well below par, still ran and ran. Lack of quality will be our ultimate undoing. But for guts, togetherness and desire, we have our bloody club back, and I love it. And that is just exactly what I'm saying. John Broadley, defence was excellent as always, but the fact that they could hold midfield against that team without Ogun Bayeko was the big positive, especially with Oggy out for 5 weeks, which we'll come on to now. Scott I should grow in confidence from today. And forgot, we've never mentioned it, but John Russell came on and looked promising too. But there's no getting away from that. Is the Johnny Ogg is a big blow, that as well. And yeah, it's been a positive podcast so far. And Carlos knows his players and the medical players better than me. But Peterborough were knackered. He should have gone off after 40 or 38 minutes when he were down. He hobbled to half time, took him off. He played at Cardiff when I couldn't believe it, and off he went again. And I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say, don't you? Just the ground, does that give him 6 weeks out now when it maybe could have been 2? I haven't got a clue about medical stuff, though, to be fair, but it's...
I'm not sure. I mean, you'll never know, will we? But would he have made that decision if Vallejo had been on the bench? Possibly not. Or been able to come into the team. Kind of, Scott High is good, but he's a different type of player to them too. And
it's hard, Andy, isn't it?
Again, we'll never know.
Andy, what?
I think you're right there, Si. I think if Vallejo's fit, Hogg misses a couple of games there. Yeah. I think he's played through necessity rather than, like wanting to. But we'll see how it goes. We've got first game out of the way and we've won, so you never know.
I know the medical staff ultimately have the final say, but Andy, if you're like, are you swayed by the player? I mean, we see this all the time. I know there's been a lot made about concussion and players saying, I'm all right to come on. That's a different argument. It's an head injury, what have you. But if players are say, physio's like, I'm all right. I suppose for his experience, Andy, I suppose I'm answering my own question here. You've got to, if Johnny Ogg says he's all right to carry on, he has to carry on, don't he?
Would you say no to him? Would you say, okay, he'd absolutely snap you in half. So I think there's so many stats that there's them bloody catapult vests that they wear and everything. They get so many bits of feedback on each of the players and whether they're in red zones for fitness and stress and stuff like that. But I think Oggy said, look, I feel fit, I'm going to play. And I don't think Coburn's gone, actually, mate, you're not fit, you're not going to play. I think there's a little bit of Hogg's keenness to be the captain of the team of the club has probably been his undoing there. He shouldn't have played. You're right. He was knackered, wasn't he? So he should have been told, no, mate, you're taking a rest.
Jody Calvert, the best tweet. Well, we're pretty good, aren't we? Big love heart emojis, blue and white, and a big smile. Patrick Dean will always get his tweets read out when he plays with me, but so many positive today. Pearson was a man, and we got good Naby, more in inverted commas, Matt's calling. Turton's best game for town. We hadn't even mentioned him and thought he did, solid. Sinani, let's touch on him. We've not really mentioned him. I had a feeling, mate, when he get one goal, he'd get another. And I think he's kind of a bit of an enigma in, but he was very effective. I think he's a very clever footballer, mate. And I think we're going to see him go from strength to strength now on that as well. Great predator instinct in that box, Si.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. It's strange because when he kind of signed, kind of felt he was more of an attacking player, and actually Corbran's typically played him in that kind of midfield three, really, hasn't he? And I don't feel as though up until kind of the last couple of games he's really influenced the game in that kind of top third of the pitch. But kind of getting himself in some right positions, isn't he? So more of that, please.
Pozza's frozen, but he's got a nice smile. Even if
he hasn't, bless him. He looks happy.
I'm still here, lads. I can hear you.
Richard Ucky, the realist, 20 points from safety. No thought. We were good today. Just our midfield needs to be more clinical with passes. Should have had more goals today. Paul Cooney, a very steadfast defensive display with everyone playing their part. Lots of excellent blocks along with high work rates. HTFC dreams with squad rotation. We can be as good as we were today. But Carlos rotates more. Sorba could do with 4 weeks off. He looks so drained. Hursty says, nice to see us rotate a little with subs and injuries. Get the job done. Simon Pearson immense. Anyone see Carlos spit his water out and throw the bottle when Turton let a cross get in? The other side, that's quality to hear that. He's passionate. He certainly is. Carlos. And his coaching team and that as well. They're all up for it. If you notice on Twitter on Saturday night, there's about 4 or 5 of them in Vamos, Huddersfield.
Well, that's good though. I like that. I like stuff like that. All in it together, and I never see Carlos as being like the head guy, if that makes sense. He's not a one. He seems to work with his team really well, and it seems to be a bit of, obviously he's the the name of the manager and stuff, but they all seem to work really well as a unit. And I think that's good. He's not just out there by himself. He's got he's obviously mates with him as well, and I think it's nice to see a group all together in a dugout. Normally it's just manager sort of on his own, and we've been critical, haven't we, about too much instruction going on and shouting and bawling and stuff like that. But you know what the Spanish are like, because they all too well. They're very passionate, aren't they? And if things aren't going the way that they want them to do, they're not going to keep quiet about it, are they?
It's brilliant, mate. Absolutely brilliant. There's a tweet here from someone called Andy Kaye, but it talks crap, so we'll just
ignore that. Ignore
that. Just say the best to last.
Hey, doubtful.
Pozza's pause is brilliant. We've got the voice and the smile, mate. We don't want him to camera.
I've no idea when he's finished speaking.
I don't know why I'm frozen on yours.
Mate, it's because mine is 2 outside, man. A great job. That performance. Defence, superb. Worked hard in midfield. Thomas was off it again. And Danny Ward once again putting a shift in onto QPR up the town. Adam Bell, Lee Nichols' levels of house today were unreal today. Catching the ball and then showing the crowd, goading the West Brom players to come for the ball. Does any of us actually think he was injured in the 85th minute? Outstanding gamesmanship. I saw that at the other end. Nowhere
Not
near.
Not a chance.
Yeah. Mark White, Carlos got it right. Would like to see Mippo on since we were playing counter-attack, but great 3 points. Neil Berry, what a magnificent team effort. Back three midfield work their rocks off. Getting really worried about our mid-table challenge now. Might have to settle for the playoffs. Essex Terrier, job done, not pretty at times, but did the business. Fairly sound defensively, and against 10 men in the end, another step forward, I think, and 3 points in the bag. So, yeah, there's our messages from yesterday. So, yeah, happy people and that as well. But you know what? We've got to say it as it is, and a number of times we've come on here miserable and stuff like that as well. It's, kind of supporting. We kind of want to touch a bit of negative thing really in that as well. So I happened to come out of the ground yesterday and there was some bad trouble. The worst I've seen at the stadium for a long, long time, kind of outside. And it was a weird day when I got into town yesterday. I've never seen so many police. And I remember I was saying to one of the police, there's a lot of you out here. This is off. Yeah, it's kind of been called a high profile game or high, what do they call it? An high expectancy game. But so during the game, I don't know what you thought, Paz, but there were kind of, nothing major. Well, there were bits being swapped when they're over the divide and that as well. But after the game, it was really, really bad. So there was West Brom brought a lot of coaches, must have been 12 or 13 coaches and stuff like that as well. So I was kind of talking to someone at the club today because I put a little message out yesterday saying it wasn't acceptable really. Someone tweeted me saying, it's the first time I've ever felt unsafe at the ground. I kind of held my son's hand harder than I've ever done and that as well. But people getting punched and pushed there. But I have to say the police did a fantastic job and it were really scary because there were like 6 horses charging in and a lot of swearing and come on Huddersfield and all that. And it were very dark. So I think the big problem for me up there is that the club really need to sort it out with the lighting up there in the car park bit behind the south stand. That needs sorting because it's a sitting duck really. You've got away and home fans coming up together, very dark, in between cars. It's just a license really for what happened yesterday. And I was chatting to a few West Brom fans as well coming back after it kind of finished, and they said it makes them sad now because they've got a really bad element who's started to go watch him away and that as well. And must admit, they mentioned the Millwall game where early on the season was some really bad trouble down there. So I think the police were expecting him. I thought they handled it really, really well, but we're horrible to see like kind of people screaming and like old people caught up in it and stuff like that as well. Come on, so I think, it's not for me, but if people want to fight, just do it somewhere quiet and that as well. And for a minute, and I was talking to someone today, and apparently in the train station it went off and that as well, and then at Marsden Station there was a big brawl between 20-30 guys and that as well. So it's a shame, isn't it, really, that this kind of stuff's come back. Maybe let's just hope it were an isolated incident, because Paul, what we don't want is, obviously we've gone about the South Stand and fantastic, how we've got that stand now and whatever, and honestly, let's be honest, I can't remember any other game where there's been anything like that. So let's just hope it's a one-off, but we don't want to see that coming back in the game.
No, I think it'd be quite easy, hopefully, like I say, it's a one-off. But if not, it's just, it's a really funny layout out there, isn't it? Because, they've got the ramp down to where away coaches are. So you just think of, a line of stewards at the bottom of that hill to stop town fans walking up, and then a line of stewards, to stop people coming out of the south stand and turning immediately right, and let away fans filter up to the coaches, or just keep them in for 10 minutes and let town fans disperse. I know it's a little bit difficult with Town have won, and
I think you can do that.
We were probably in, weren't we, for another 10 minutes after the match anyway, so that probably wouldn't have helped. But yeah, hopefully, like you say, an isolated incident, and it is dark out there. I do think they should probably get some better lighting, and that'd probably stop a lot of it, just because people think they can put the hood up and get away with it. But yeah, hopefully those people that got caught up in it, who clearly don't want to get involved in that sort of thing, aren't too scarred by it, and especially if any kids got witnessed it and stuff like that, because something like that could put you off, couldn't it? So a little bit sad, but if police dealt with it, then fair play to them and stuff. But sometimes it's I'm one of these. I quite like an edgy atmosphere rather than it being all friendly and stuff. But there's a line in there, you don't cross it. So yeah, fingers crossed, just an isolated incident. But it seems to be happening not just at Town, but up and down country at the moment from what I've seen this season. I don't know if it's people blowing off a bit of steam from COVID or whatever, but yeah, it seems to be creeping back in a little bit now. It's like I say, a bit of an edgy atmosphere for me is good, but there's no need to start leathering folk up and down, especially when there's people out there who don't want to be involved in that sort of thing. That's not fair to them.
No, I just want to kind of just praise the police, because how many times they get stick for this, that, and the other, but they were fantastic. And I was like, oh my God, because there were 6 horses just charging in, and I just thought it's a recipe for chaos. But they were fantastic because they kind of pushed the people who were fighting to kind of one side and created a bit of a way for everyone to get out. But it's weird because a few other people were like, oh, I never saw anything in that as well. So he probably only went on for about a minute and a half, but probably too much in that as well. But yeah, we've kind of touched on it earlier, moving on again, but top 6 challenges, Andy, you had your say kind of no, and Poz, you were like, you don't think that, but yesterday maybe a bit of a watershed moment, but I just can't get him out of my head that West Brom were 3rd and stuff. I still think, even though Neil was kind of wondering yesterday, they might not finish top 6, but I still think, well, Fulham are on another planet, really. Bournemouth today, maybe just a one-off, but I still think there's 3 spots there, really. I just think if we're to get there, we're going to need a lot of luck. Here with his injuries, which we don't seem to be getting now, and again, I keep seeing these O'Brien to Leeds stuff coming back again and resurfacing and that. I think we need everyone to stay, a couple of additions and a bit of luck. But I think at what point, Si, this is one for you, let's stop my waffling. At what point do we think, is it New Year's Day where we're still up there, we're after the window, when we still know we've got left and Dean's in, or if he's not in and stuff? At what point do I say to my friends at work, we've got a chance of getting in the playoffs here, mate? Is it now? January? March?
I think you're right. I think you're right to say we've got a chance now. Definitely. Obviously, the longer time goes on, the more realistic that claim is. I guess we'll wait to be seen. I remember Philly might have even been on this podcast. I can't remember, but he did say towards the start of the season, ask me again in February, kind of as to where he thinks we'll finish or what his expectations were. That'll be when he'll give us a proper answer. And probably some truth in that right now, isn't there? Obviously, a lot of what has gone to the Bridgestone Centre, Phil, personally, but in terms of what he said, actually, post-February, or come February, will be through the transfer window. We'll know who's staying, who we've brought in. I think we've definitely got a good chance. I just worry that the lack of an out-and-out goal scorer is what's going to hold us back. You kind of think about, obviously, Fulham and Bournemouth with Mitrovic and Solanke, kind of, they will help them get there. And you look at someone like Blackburn, who've got kind of Diaz, who's scored a lot of goals. Just do worry, kind of, there might be certain games where we kind of really miss out-and-out goal scorer. But look, right now we've got as good a chance as anyone in that kind of, certainly that top half.
Andy, should we just shut up and just think it's the first season in a few years, we're enjoying it, we're knocking a big hitter's nose out of joint, we're enjoying this football again. Should we just settle for that? And, even if we finish 30th, that's good, or do we really, I know I don't want to go on that debate. Do we want to go up? Well, forget that. It's just like, I just think glory's there to grab it when you can get it. But it's weird because you look at the table, you think like there's still 5 points between us and 14th, 15th. But it's you can never, success just comes now and again, don't you? You can't pick and choose, can you? If it's there, you grab it. But I think I don't know. It's weird, man. I just feel so happy. I'd maybe getting too carried away with stuff, really.
Well, isn't that the point of supporting a football team, that you do get carried away from time to time? Isn't that absolutely what it's all about? And then you plumb the depths when the they're rubbish, and we've had loads of that for the last 3 or 4 years. We've been absolutely shocking, haven't we? So why the hell not get a little bit excited about it? I get it's that old cliche, one game at a time, sweet Jesus, and we're all going to just take it one game at a time. But if we did, you never know. I'm still looking for the 50-point mark to be done and dusted, and then I'll be happy, and then we can kick on from there.
Andy, why have we got 1,900 tickets for Barnsley in a totally random thing? What's all that about? That ended 7,000. Is that just
Yeah, it does. It's something to do with they've shut the West Stand, so that's because there's all sorts of couple. Some say it's falling down, some say it's not. So they've had to move people from that stand into the other 2 home stands. And I don't know whether that's reduced the number of stewards they've got available, but yeah, there's been a definite reduction in the number of people that they're giving tickets for. I'm not really sure. It's just that even like Barnsley mates of mine, they're not quite sure about what's really going on there. The club's struggling a bit from what my mates are telling me, which is great. But I got plenty of gyp last year, so they're getting it back this year. But yeah, rightly so. We got gyp last year. They were brilliant last year, to be fair to them. But yeah, I'm not quite sure about what's going on at Oakwell at the minute. But yeah,
I think it is the steward thing, Andy. I read somewhere that because they're struggling to recruit stewards, so they can't. Obviously, I'm guessing there's some sort of quote. They come out of fans. You've got to have White Mountain stewards, and I think I think when they had Sheffield United managed to sort out somehow, bust a load of stewards in so they could take 4,000. But it'd be a real shame if that is the case. If we only have just over 1,900, because we're doing well at the moment. We don't historically do well at Barnsley, but we always take 4,000. So it'd be a real shame if we only get that 1,900.
Not enough stewards. Can't believe it. Get it all.
Well, yeah.
What's the world coming to? If I can't go, that's a bloody home game for me. I can walk to bloody Oakwell. So if I can't get tickets, I won't be an happy badger at all.
Devlin update this week. Pretty much not much to report, I don't think, on it really, and that as well. Again, touched on the ownership situation and stuff, and I don't think anything kind of much news, just as usual, just rumours and stuff like that as well. What's going to happen, but it's.
There's one word that worries me. He uses the word genuinely. I say there's genuinely nothing I can tell you. Anybody uses the word genuinely in that situation actually means there is stuff I could tell you, but I'm not going to do. So I think there's stuff going on behind the scenes that he's not capable of telling us. I think there'll be a change of ownership at some point in the near future.
Well, I were actually on the call with the ATT, and there were a lot of things that were. At this time, there's no change. There were a lot of things. Yeah. I'm just having a quick look at my notes, and somebody asked about the ownership, and it were, I explained that Phil has 75% shareholder of HDFC at this time, and it's like is that going to be long term or short term? And then it went straight back to, well, we don't know, we can't tell you. So to me, he weren't lying because at that particular moment in time, But 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, that could all change. The one thing that I did say on that call, though, and I made quite a big point of it, that don't try cover up things. If there's things going on, just be honest. Just say, and if you generally can't say because legal matters or anything like that, but if there is something going on, just say, discussions are being taken hard, or don't just blanket it with there's nothing to, there's no change or nothing's happening when things clearly will be happening. Just be honest, and because if not, then. It's like people fill those voids with ridiculous rumours and stuff like that. So I think, they will want it business as usual as much as possible. And it is, I won't say we're a worrying time for a fan, because if Dean's there and he's happy to fund the club, as they've said, then fair enough. He's there, he's still got 25%. He's not going to want it to fall through the floor. Will he take it on and then look to sell straight away? Will he take it on and run it a bit longer term? That's the sort of questions that we need to be looking at, moving forward. And obviously it's a terrible thing that's happened to Phil. We've said his piece on Phil, or I certainly have on this podcast, but I certainly won't wish him any harm. And if his business has gone to rack and ruin and he's losing a fortune, then you've got to feel sorry for him for that. And certainly all the staff that work for him. Huddersfield Town is a football club, but there's bigger things out there, people losing their jobs just before Christmas and stuff like that. So thoughts for those people at this time. But Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Certainly, as we come into January, they did say there were going to be no difference in the plans that they had in place. So, if we're looking at players, the plan is still to bring those in. Somebody asked about selling. Is there any now plans to suddenly start having a fire sale? And we're quite adamant that no. If bids come in for players, they will be considered as there would have been before this news. But as you say, Andy, a lot of that were. More than what you're actually saying at the moment, and I guess only time will tell on that.
Oz, you might as well stay and tell us about this Q&A that's going to be happening, which sounds pretty exciting and that as well. That's be good. At Magic Rock, I don't know, have you ever heard of them yet? I think they're sponsored a crappy pod, I've heard, but yeah.
They do a nice lager, I must admit. They do a nice lager, town lager, I think it's called. 10% off with code using our podcast.
That's why I've got nothing behind me today.
But yeah, we've got a little Q&A coming up, just a bit of a fundraiser more than all else. We have quite a lot of dialogue with certain players and people at the club. They're really on board with what we do. Harry Toffolo has been a massive champion for us, and we speak to him quite regular. Robin and Rachel in support services, and the legend that is Andy Booth. We have really good dialogue with them, and we kind of help each other out in certain aspects of what we do, and they help us out. So I think it'll be a really good opportunity. Down at Magic Rock. I should have prepped better because I could have got all the exact details, but we'll be putting some information out the next couple of days through our social media, and I know Club have put some out. But I think it's Toffolo, O'Brien, Pearson and Carlos going down. I think there's space for about 190. It's just pay on the door donations, whatever you see fit, cash only. I know not many people carry cash these days, so get to a cash machine and draw some out. Stick a £5 in or a £10 in, and it'll go a long way to help funding, what we do in South Stand, as well as having a good night with, a couple of players and manager.
Sounds good, Paul. Any excuse to have that beautiful town lager, mate, especially when we're up the town.
Always tastes nicer when you've won it. There must be something in it that when we win it makes it taste better.
Oh, mate, everything just tastes better when you win, doesn't it? I was buzzing today. Well, it was such a nice feeling when you wake up when, you said to me earlier on, because I had lost a bit of love for it all, a bit like probably a few people. And I don't know, it's just like today was just one of those great days. Felt like a ready break man, especially when you're working on your face and stuff. And especially when my Spanish friend smashed in that goal of today. But it's just nice, isn't it, to be positive and to almost puff your chest out. And it's like, we're Huddersfield Town and, this is what we're about. Because we know from experience that disaster's never far lurking and that as well. But it's when I just can't get it. When people are saying like Sky Sports News promotion, playoff seeking us to town, it's like, this is just like alien for me, but long may it continue. I mean, the games don't get any easier. Anyone watched the QPR game on Friday night? No, we're in for a tough battle. And then Chris Wilder, I mean, that's another cracker, isn't it? Next Saturday, Chris Wilder brings probably a sellout up in Middlesbrough. It's a shame it's not Mr. Warnock, but yeah, so 2 tough games. We'll let the other pod do the previewing, but Paul, how many points next 2 games, mate, is coming our way?
Mate, it's one of could be none, could be 6. You don't know, do you? I think I'd definitely take a point down at QPR there.
Get off the fence, boss.
Do you know what? Let's go. I'll say 4. I think we can get 4.
Oh, I was going to say 4. Bloody hell.
Yeah, we'll get a point down at QPR and a home win at Middlesbrough. That's perfectly doable. From what I've seen of town this year. Equally 0 is perfectly doable as well, so we'll see. But yeah, if you want a nailed-on thing, I'll go with 4. We've got the potential to get 4, certainly. 3
for me, Andy.
2.
Wow, so we're not losing. Come on, we're unbeatable again. Doing the league clap. Yeah, did you see that anniversary on it, that league clap thing the other day, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he doing now, by the way? You must. Oh, I'll tell you what I saw yesterday. It was a random thing, but I picked up some tickets like 12 o'clock yesterday, and this guy in a suit, how are you doing? Just speak to him, Peter Jackson. What a top man he is. He's such a gentleman, isn't he?
He was a legend, isn't he? I know we had a bit of a joke, didn't we, about him because at half time when you told me that story, but he's always knocking around down there, isn't he? Oh, he'll do all for a free pint with our Jacko. So, good luck to him.
Guys, that's it. We've enjoyed the pod, and I suppose we'll end how we started, really, that Huddersfield Town means a lot to so many people and can be a thing of so much comfort. People, so it makes me proud that, when I kind of see some of them tweets today about, you know, people that we've lost and things like that as well. That I know Shankly says it's not about life or death and what have you and that as well, more important than that. But it matters to so many people in that as well. So as long as it keeps mattering, we will always be here and that as well as supporters. And yeah, even those people who've maybe fallen out of love with town and that as well. You're not telling me they haven't looked at the table or the results and think, get in there and that. We want everyone back, mate. And let's hope the crowds pick up and maybe Saturday against Middlesbrough, Pos, we can be pushing. What did it give it the crowd out yesterday, by the way? Did anyone?
17.5, just about.
Yeah, not bad. It's a Middlesbrough game's £1 a kid and all. If you're under 18, it's only £1 to get in, so it's a good opportunity to those people who have been, you know, like you say, falling out of love. If they've got kids, get them down there. There's a great little fan zone down there now for kids. There's, you know, the club shop. There's you know, you can go and play FIFA and there's table football, face painting. There's loads of stuff for kids to do. So if you're on the fence about going down, you've got a nipper, get them down there because my little lad certainly loves it. And you know, for £1, what else can you do on a Saturday afternoon?
Get your ass to the stadium next week. You've been told. Adios.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town. And the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.